All right. So I just was watching Monday Night Football. It's halftime as I'm recording this video. And I think I saw the horrible roughing the passer call that's going to take everybody over the top on this. Because this has been an issue for years. And I think it's been an issue that's been growing on top of itself. And at some point, it's going to become so disruptive to the game that's trying to be played that something drastic has to be done about it. And what I'm talking about are, I think what happened today is a symptom of a larger problem. The smaller problem is the overprotection of quarterbacks, right? And I saw already on the broadcast a lot of people are using the Tua situation to justify this crackdown on roughing the passer when I think that's complete BS because Tua's situation wasn't roughing the passer. It was just usual consequences from playing a contact sport. He hit his head on the ground, and the onus and the focus shouldn't be on what can we do to make sure Tua doesn't get hit while playing football. The focus should be what can we do after he gets hit to make sure that he gets the care that he needs to get. And I know we want to prevent concussions. That's why targeting rules are in place. It's why you have safety rules to try to make a violent game safer. And I'm not just going to sit here and simply make the argument that football is a violent game, so violence should be expected. I understand when it's a game that's this popular, that this many people play, you want to make sure that the majority of people who play this game from grade school to high school can walk away from it without life-changing injuries happening to their brain, right? That's something we're not really equipped for. And I understand why it's important that the NFL lead the way on this, because what the NFL does, college does, high school does, Pee Wee football does, so on and so forth. They're the loudest voice here. I understand why they have these safety rules in place from an ethical standpoint. I get it. Trust me, I understand. But you have to ask yourself the question, is the way that this rule is being applied helpful? Or is it helpful for a reason that's unintended, right? And I think they're like the NFL conspiracy theories always pop up when you talk about these things, right? And whenever you talk about this, people say, hey, they want to keep the quarterback safe to make the most money. Quarterbacks are the most marketable players. And there is some truth to that, right? If you lose your quarterback, there's typically no replacement because there's not that many people in the world that can play quarterback at an NFL level. Hell, there's not that many people in the NFL that can play quarterback at an NFL level. So they want to protect those guys. But we have to ask the question, if it's that important that we protect quarterbacks, why are they even contact eligible players, right? Do we just want to put them in the red practice jersey during the game so they can't get hit, right? We can't have special contact rules for specific players in specific situations because the game moves too fast, right? If you don't want quarterbacks to get hit, just make quarterback a non-contact position. Just put them in a different jersey, throw them out there, and see how many people actually want to watch that, right? Because that's where we're going to. But you can't say that a quarterback is a regular player like everyone else, but if you hit them too hard, oh well, that's going to be a penalty. If they don't like how you landed on a tackle, that's going to be the penalty. If they don't like that you got the tackle or the timing of it, that's going to be a penalty. These things are too subjective and they're too impactful to games. They're way, way too impactful to games. If this, in my opinion, were really about protecting players, this would be a fine, not necessarily a football penalty, right? Like if they felt like this was about protecting players, The real way to prevent it is to fine them if they feel like they had an egregious hit on a quarterback. But instead, we do this penalty stuff. And what this really does, it doesn't really decentivize anybody from any type of hit more than a fine would. But what it ends up doing is changing the game in favor of the quarterback that you don't want to get hit. And that's usually the better quarterback, right? Like there is a difference between what's going to be roughing for Jacoby Brissett or Bailey Zapp or Davis Mills or any of those guys, right? Versus what's going to be called roughing the passer for Patrick Mahomes, for Derek Carr, for one of these guys that people really do know. And that's the issue that I have with it. It's way too subjective in nature, and it's way too impactful to the game itself, right? And that's making the game start to be more and more unwatchable. I am of the opinion that football, as it is right now, is in that late stage sports life where there's too many rules, right? We spend hundreds of years watching this game and adding rule by rule by rule every year, and we don't really think of it until one day we wake up and realize there's too many rules. There's too many penalties that could be called. There's too many addendums to certain things. And instead of making this game easier and more streamlined to follow, it is so difficult. And football is the most egregious one of this. Say what you want about baseball. And baseball is not one of my favorite sports to watch. But you know what? When I drop in on a baseball game every now and then, I'm not having to learn a whole textbook of rules that were recently implemented. There are the new things like certain clocks and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, there's not new penalties, right? Basketball somewhat has this problem, but the penalty's been the same for like the last 20 years. There's not really that many new ones. Football, because of the violent nature of the game, and also because it is such a huge media product that they want to keep, quote unquote, hot, that they have changed these rules over and over and over and over more than any other league. And I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but you ever try to watch a football game with somebody who doesn't watch football very often and try to explain to them what is actually going on? Like the football is one thing, but when they start asking questions about penalties, it really makes you start to question, why are half of these penalties in the first place? There's too many penalties. Penalties have overrun the game, and it's too common that a flag ends up being the talking point in a game. And that tells you right then and there what the problem is with the NFL. There are way too many rules. Our reaction to everything is we need to put a new rule in place. That's not always a good reaction. That's not always productive. It makes you feel good for like 5 seconds. And a lot of us who are upset now at the roughing the passer penalty are also the same people who were mad about the Tua thing, right? Now, there was different levels and lanes. I don't think these two are as easily connected as some people are suggesting. But when we all get mad at the Tua thing, we need to do more to protect these players and we need to do more to protect the quarterbacks, okay? They're going to interpret that as, what can we do about this? Well, we can't stop concussions from happening, but what we can do is stop quarterbacks from getting concussions, because for whatever reason, when quarterbacks get concussions, everybody talks about it. This is PR, right? Like, this is PR now. They're not doing this with unnecessary roughness to the quarterback and being so easy on these penalties because it's protecting anybody but the shield. This is about protecting the shield, in my opinion. This is about them trying to protect the brand and not have another Tua situation. And I think that's why they're trying to connect it, is because to them, it isn't about player safety. It really isn't. It's about, what can we do to make sure that we don't have another Tua situation? And the answer to that is make sure a QB doesn't take another hard hit ever. That's what the solution sounds like it's going to be. And that is an unacceptable solution for NFL fans. That's an unacceptable solution for fans of NFL teams. That's an unacceptable solution for fans of just football, period, is that you're going to make the quarterback in a contact sport a non-contact player without telling anybody. If you want to put him in a different jersey and make it very clear he is not to be touched, like this is practice, okay, then do that. But have the balls to come out here and say you're going to do it. Don't sit here and tell me we playing regular football, but if you sneeze on the quarterback, and look, it's been exaggerated in the past about what you cannot do to a quarterback, but this is literally, he got tackled, fumbled the ball. It was a normal football play. If you can tackle a running back like that, if you can tackle a wide receiver like that, if you can tackle any other player in the field like that, don't tell me it's not okay to tackle a quarterback like that, right? If it's not acceptable to tackle a player like that, then make it not acceptable for every single position. And you don't want to do that because you know the product would be terrible, but you just want to protect the quarterbacks for the brand. Nah. If it's acceptable to tackle running back like that, it's acceptable to tackle a quarterback like that. There's too many rules. There's too much going on here. It's making the game hard to follow, and it's making what is the most enjoyable sport on earth, in my opinion. I mean, I watch so much football. I watch like 10 games a week. And then when the spring comes around, I watch the XFL stuff too. I love this game. But it's a shame when the chess match of it, the battle in the trenches gets negated because they want to throw a flag on something that is not really protecting anybody or protecting the integrity of the game or anything like that. That's my thoughts. I apologize if this was rambling. I had a lot I wanted to get in here. I want to know your opinions on what just happened and the penalty situation in general with the NFL and the roughing the passer. Let me know what you guys think down below. But I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great day. Have a good night.